Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest online event here at the University of California, Merced. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Ricky Hill, and I'm the e-recruiter here at UC Merced. Thank you once again for joining us. We are here tonight for our very first kickoff event for the Discover the University of California, Merced virtual series. Tonight, we will be focused on first-year admissions and UC application tips. So definitely stick around to get all of those questions answered. And speaking of that, let me go ahead and give you some quick tips before we get started. If you would like to adjust your audio settings, you can do so in the lower left corner of your screen. If you would like to adjust the size of your window, click on View Options in the upper portion of your screen. Lastly, and most importantly, like I said, we are here to answer those questions and give you those UC application tips tonight. Take advantage of the Q&A button at the lower portion of the screen. Send in those questions. We have a panel of experts, both behind the scenes as well as on screen tonight, about to kick off this presentation. So feel free to send in all of those questions and we will get to those throughout the evening. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. It's my pleasure to be your moderator this evening. To get started, I will hand things over to my colleague, Tim.
Thank you, Ricky, and hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Timothy Ford. I'm delighted to have you here. I am the Northern California Admissions Advisor, and I'll be one of the co-presenters this evening. I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Iona.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Iona Nee, and I'm the Assistant Director of Domestic Recruitment with the Undergraduate Office of Admissions. I'm also a UC Merced alumna, and we're looking forward to sharing more about our beautiful campus as well as how to best present yourself on the UC application. And from there, let's get started. UC Merced is the newest and 10th addition to the University of California system. We opened up in 2005, and we are centrally located in the heart of California. As you can see, Merced is the star on the map, and we are roughly 4 hours north from the Los Angeles area, about 2 hours east of the San Francisco Bay Area. And really what's unique about our campus is our proximity to Yosemite National Park. We're the only campus in the nation that has a partnership with Yosemite where you can actually be a park ranger. You can live and work there over summer. We also offer a 2-year internship, and we also have our own research facilities and labs within the park. Being that we are in the San Joaquin Valley, it is more of a rural agricultural area. Although we don't have the beach right at our doorstep, we do have a massive lake called Lake Yosemite, just about 5 to 10 minutes walking distance from our campus. And then on the next slide, we'll go over what is the city of Merced. The city of Merced is on the rise. We have about 80,000 people total. It is a historical town where we have the Castle Air Museum. There's lots to do, as you can see on the screen. We have a lot of recreational areas within 2 hours from our beautiful campus. We have a lot of events happening both on and off campus, from our county fairgrounds to our art hop, as well as a lot of great eateries. My favorite, a lot of milk tea and boba shops. And the downtown area is roughly 10 minutes driving distance from the university. If you do not have your car, we do offer our own transportation called the Cat Tracks, which takes you everywhere to the downtown area, to our mall. There's the movie theaters, as well as a lot of off-campus housing areas. And on the next slide, we'll talk more about how we're on the rise. So just within 15 years of existence, UC Merced is top 100 universities in the nation. Yes, we are number 93. That is amazing considering we're a little over a decade old, and we are one of the fastest growing public research institutions in the nation as part of the University of California system. And we'll talk more about what makes our campus unique and why you should consider UC Merced. We've rapidly expanded, and over the past 4 years, we've actually doubled our campus's size as part of the Merced 2020 project. The whole right side of campus, as you can see on the screen, was added within the past few years. So when I was a student, that whole area wasn't there. We've added our Olympic-sized swimming pool, more facilities, labs, office building, classes, as well as dormitories, a huge parking lot. We've added our biomedical research center, and we've also added more programs and majors, which Tim will cover a bit later on. Now we'll talk about how diverse our campus is and what our undergraduate student population looks like. Being that we opened up in 2005, we are the youngest and smallest UC in terms of student population. We have a little over 9,000 students total. Again, that is the smallest in the UC system. However, students love that they have more of the private school atmosphere at the cost of a public university, which is one of the many reasons why I chose to attend UC Merced. I like that the student to faculty ratio is 21:1. I like that my professors knew me by my name and I wasn't just another number among 40,000 students. We also have the highest percentage of undocumented students in the UC system, and we also have the highest percentage of first generations in the system. We are considered a Hispanic serving institution, and we're also eligible to be an ANAPISI serving institution. ANAPISI is Asian American, Native American, Pacific Islander. And as you can see on the map, we have a wide distribution of students coming from all over California. And 99% of our students are from California, and most of our students are undergraduate students. What does that mean to you? That means a lot of our resources, our programs, our services are geared for all of you undergraduate students because you make up the most of our 9,000 student population. We'll continue more about what is life like at UC Merced. We have a very active student body. You will have no trouble getting involved with our current Bobcats. That's our mascot. We're the Golden Bobcats. We have over 200 clubs and organizations that range from music, faith-based, the arts. We have a baking club. Greek life is quite popular. About 18% of our student body are involved. Greek life consists of multicultural fraternities, sororities, as well as academic, social. There's a lot of areas for you to get involved. And what's great is if we don't have a club that fits your interest, you can easily create that. When I was a freshman, there was even a club dedicated to Play-Doh. Yes, so that you can literally create a club around anything. You just need yourself, a few other members who are interested, as well as your mission statement. And we host a lot of events on campus. On the next few slides, you'll see what types of events. We have hosted over 700 events throughout the year, and those events will consist of our social events, networking, academic events, opportunities for companies to recruit. Some of our bigger events will be Cowchella. You all know Coachella down in the desert. Well, we have Cowchella because there are cows in the area. Do not worry, there are more students than cows. The ratio is like 5 students to 1 cow. And we've hosted a lot of big artists from T-Pain. We also have a lot of comedians that come to campus, from Gabriel Iglesias, also known as Fluffy, to George Lopez. We have our campus activities board that hosts a lot of talent shows, as well as Pride Week, Sustainability Week. We have a big event for Halloween called Treats and Beats, where they have the music and then the treats aspect, where you can go essentially trick-or-treating, you get your food. So you will not worry, there's so much to do. It just really depends what you're looking to do, as well as what your interests are. And college is really what you make of it, right? So as long as you take initiative, you put yourself out there, there's always something fun on campus. And now we'll segue into the athletics. UC Merced is part of the National Athletic Intercollegiate Association, also known as NAIA. It's part of the California Pacific Conference, and we are recruiting for the 4 sports you see there: men's and women's basketball, cross country, soccer, and volleyball. I want to give a huge shout out because our women's volleyball team won the California Pacific Championship this past year. Very exciting. And our women's basketball team won the championship 3 years ago. And if you're not looking to play competitively, but you're just looking to play for fun on campus, we have club sports as well as intramural sports. You essentially create your own team on campus and you compete in the tournament. I was part of the women's flag football team as well as the co-ed dodgeball team. It was awesome. I just created my own team with my group of friends and we competed. It was quite competitive. And we also have outdoor adventures. Considering our proximity to Yosemite, as well as a lot of other nature-esque areas, if you're interested in whitewater rafting, backpacking, hiking, snowboarding, skiing, mountain climbing, rock climbing, snowshoeing, we offer all those fun activities for a relatively effective price. And we also have our own bus that goes to Yosemite quite often because we do our research up there. So now we'll segue into life living on campus. Most of our first year students reside within the dorms at UC Merced. We encourage students to live on campus because students who tend to live on campus tend to do better academically and socially. They tend to have a higher GPA and they get involved. Think about it. When you're living on campus, maybe you don't like to cook, do not worry. We have our own dining facilities on campus. We have everything from Mexican food to Asian, American. We have our own salad bar, dessert bar, yes. We also have other off-campus restaurants that cater on campus as well. And we have our own Lantern Cafe in the library. So there's a lot of areas for you to enjoy food. And at UC Merced, we guarantee housing for first-year students. This is amazing, especially because many of our students do not live within the area. And what's unique about our campus is we have what's called living learning communities, essentially residential dorms that have certain values. So if you're interested in social justice, leadership, sustainability, you can live in certain themed communities that cater and align towards your values. And now we'll segue into the academics and majors that Tim will share with you all.
Thanks, Iona. So now we're going into the academic majors. So at UC Merced, we offer 25 superb undergraduate majors that are housed in our 3 schools, our School of Engineering, School of Natural Sciences, and our School of Social Sciences, Humanities, and Arts. We just introduced a brand new engineering major this year, civil engineering. So if those of you who are looking to study civil engineering, structural engineering, definitely check out this program. We have, in addition to our majors, we also offer 25 minors. So it's very common that students may choose to pursue a major coupled with a minor, or in some capacities, even a double major option. It's always up to you. One thing to note about all of our majors at UC Merced is that none of our majors are impacted, including the most applied to majors, such as computer science and biological sciences. What that means is that we do not take into account your major during our selection process for admissions. And it also means that if you choose to switch your major, you can easily sit down with your academic advisor and meet with them to go through the process of switching your major. So think about those options available to you. As Iona mentioned earlier, we offer a 21-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So our students are definitely individuals. They're not just numbers lost in the shuffle. You really get to know who your professors are. They're not just teaching, they're not just conducting research, they're also mentoring our students. So you have direct ties to your professors, you have direct ties to your fellow students, and 62% of our undergraduate classes have fewer than 30 students. So think about that small field that a private school may offer, but at the value of being a public research institution. We're very proud of our number in terms of our population of students. And again, also a huge draw, as was mentioned earlier, is Yosemite is right in our backyard. And through our partnership with the National Park, we have developed numerous programs, including our Yosemite Leadership Program, which Iona mentioned earlier, which is a 2-year co-curricular program open to all students at UC Merced, regardless of your major. This is a great chance for our students to be able to learn leadership skills, learning how to advocate for the environment, as well as making informed ethical decisions and creating social change. You're also interning in the park during the summers, working as assistant park rangers. So it's a very cool program to take part in. Again, it's open to all students regardless of your major. And we also operate the Sierra Nevada Research Field Station, one of 18 research facilities that we couple and have partnerships with when it comes to research. Now, we also believe in the importance of taking and exploring your educational experience on both a local as well as a national level, and in addition to that, an international level. So you may be interested in studying abroad. We do offer the UC Education Abroad program. Within this program, you have access to over 200 programs housed in over 35 countries. And these can range from exchange programs to summer immersion programs to semester or year-long programs. So definitely think about taking advantage of those. We have our UC DC program as well as our UC Sacramento program, which offers students the opportunities to intern in either our state or national capital. And while you're actually interning, you're also still taking classes with faculty members as part of the UC system who are holding residency in these key areas. We also offer the option for students to have an inter-campus visitor program. So let's say you're at UC Merced and you want to study for a quarter at UC Riverside or UC San Diego. You have that option through our inter-campus visitor program. Now, prepping for the future, we believe in the importance of instilling in our students how important professional development is. And so students can take access and advantage of professional organizations such as Greek organizations that are geared towards business, service, as well as engineering type programs. We also offer pre-health advising for those of you who want to go into the medical field. Your advisors will sit with you to help you plan out your course curriculums that medical schools are looking for, and at the same time assist you with preparation for the MCAT exam, and also allowing opportunities for you to shadow local physicians, nurse practitioners, dentists in our local area. We also offer pre-law options for our students, as well as professional teaching programs that will lead you to becoming certified teachers in both the secondary level for both single subject as well as multi-subject instruction. The hallmark of the UC experience is research. And at UC Merced, we take pride in the fact that our students are involved in all facets of research, whether it's stem cell, artificial intelligence, environmental options, you name it. Last year, you may have heard of the rover mission to Mars, the 2020 Mars mission. Our students and alum played an active role in that mission, working with one of our most notable alums, Duval Johnson, who is currently employed with the Jet Propulsion Laboratory down in Pasadena. Many of our students and alums from our fundamental tribology department conducted critical tests of mobility, which was tested and shared for this mission in this important endeavor. So picture yourself involved in research on both the local as well as the international, but also out of this world area. Now, we believe in the importance of empowering our students to take advantage of student support services, and we have numerous support services for you to be a successful student. Number one, you have an academic advisor. Your academic advisor are going to be, they're your friends. They're going to be the ones that kind of help you with your course planning all 4 years, help you understand if you're working towards degree completion. So that's one area and one example of support services. But in addition to your academic advisor, we have a variety of other support services available to you. We have our Fiat Lux Scholars Program, for example. Many of you may be aware of EOP programs at some of our sister campuses. At UC Merced, EOP is really called our Fiat Lux Scholars Program. And this is designed for first-gen low-income families and students to help them navigate the transition from high school to the college experience. We have our Guardian Scholars Program for those who have come to the foster care system. We have our Success Mentor Program where we pair upper division students with first-year students to help them navigate the college experience through the lens of a fellow student. Our services for undocumented students, our UROC, one of the awesome aspects of being a UC Merced student is the access to research that you will have as early as your first year. I'm going to repeat that. You will have access to research opportunities as early as your first year. So picture yourself meeting with professors to understand and learn about what type of research they're involved in, meeting with them, sharing your interests and your goals, and having those discussions. We also offer a variety of campus-wide resources, such as our CAPS Center, which stands for Counseling and Psychological Services. So if you want to talk to someone based on any topic of discussion, maybe you want to talk to someone about educational issues you're having, personal situations, we have counselors on hand to assist you with that. Student health services, as well as accessibility services for those desiring and needing accommodation. We also offer a Bobcat Pantry. We believe that it's very important for students to have both their physical, their mental, and their emotional capacity all intact. And that in return results in strong success for our students. So our Bobcat Pantry is just one example of the special needs that we have, programs that we have. And then helping you prepare for life beyond UC Merced, that's going to occur through our Center for Career and Professional Advancement. Our career counselors are very active in helping our students identify job searches that are out there, individualized coaching. They're going to help you with interview preps as well as resume assistance. They're going to also host 2 career fairs in the course of the year and 1 professional graduate school fair in the fall. The average time to degree, as you see here, is 4.2 years for our first-year students and 2.2 years for our transfer students. Our students are graduating, for the most part, right on time. We're very proud of the fact that we have a high retention rate at UC Merced, with 86% of our first-year students returning for their sophomore year, and 89% for our transfer students. So just a small sample of where many of our graduates end up once they leave UC Merced. But one thing to note, as a UC alum, you're going to find alumni worldwide. But once again, just a small sample here of where our students are working and also what graduate schools they've been accepted to. Okay, I'm going to shift it now back to Iona, who's going to talk about the admissions process.
Thank you so much, Tim. Yes, so let's talk about what it means to be eligible to attend UC. And know that for our most recent incoming class for fall 2021 students, our average GPA, a weighted GPA, was a 3.4 to a 4.0. And that is just 50% of the admitted GPA, meaning that we do admit students well above a 4.0, and we do admit students below the 3.4. Again, the minimum GPA to apply to be eligible to attend UC is a 3.0. So we do encourage students, if you're eligible to apply to UC, definitely consider our campus. And our admit rate for most recent incoming class was at 87%. We are proud of our admit rate because it does show that we do provide equity and accessibility to the UC system, considering we are a public research university. And on to the next slide, we'll quickly go over what are the minimum admissions requirements. So know that for all students applying as a first-year student, there are 2 minimum admissions requirements. The first one will be completing your A through G subject requirements. You must complete the 15 requirements with a passing grade of C or higher, or 70% or higher by the time you graduate high school. And many of these courses look quite familiar because many of these courses you'll be required to complete prior to high school graduation. And the second requirement is a calculated GPA of a 3.0 for California residents and a GPA of a 3.4 for non-residents. Please note that the GPA only consists or is calculated from the summer after freshman year to the summer before senior year. So essentially your junior and sophomore year. Although we do not calculate your freshman or senior year grades, we will look at your grades and courses as it is part of our application review. And please note that during the COVID-19 terms, we are allowing students to meet the A through G requirements with past credit grades through winter 2020 and summer 2021. So again, that's during winter 2020 through summer 2021, students can meet A through G courses with pass credit grades. And please note, another major change to UC admission policy is that our campus and UC will not utilize standardized tests, so SAT or ACT scores, for admissions purposes or awarding scholarships. And this is through spring 2025. You can self-report any standardized tests, but note that our readers will not see those scores or utilize those scores in our review. If you do choose to submit scores, they may be used as an alternative method of fulfilling minimum requirements or eligibility for course placement after you enroll. On to the next slide, we'll talk about how UC Merced reviews applications. So know that the first thing a reader will look at is, 1, are you eligible to apply to UC? Do you have that minimum GPA, as well as do you meet the subject requirements? Now we'll look at how selective you are, and know that we look at a variety of different factors. We know that you're more than just a scholar. You may be a leader. You may be heavily involved. So at UC Merced, specifically for our campus at Merced, 70% of our review will be based on academic factors, as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen. So that will be your GPA, how rigorous your courses are, the types of courses you completed, as well as the letter grades you received. And then 30% of our review will be based on non-academic factors, which will be, what did you do outside the classroom? How involved are you? What achievements did you obtain? And again, success is more than just in the classroom. Success can be measured in multiple areas. What we're essentially looking for has what has been available to you, and how have you taken advantage of that? And we're only reviewing you within the context of what's been available to you. What does that mean? We're not going to compare your application to your friend who attends another different high school at another district, because we know that the opportunities will look much different, right? Your school may have a different set of AP advanced courses versus another school. So we're only reviewing you within what's been available to you. And we'll go on to the next slide, how we can best present yourself in the application. So as you may know, the UC application has been open since August 1st for you to create. And know that at the University of California, because we're the same system, we have the same exact requirements. Therefore, we have the same exact application. So although there's just one application, you will check mark all the campuses that you're interested in applying to. You do not rank or prioritize them. I know that because every campus uses the same exact application, we receive the same exact copy. This also means that every campus has the independent decision of how we review your application. So there is no hotline for me to call UCLA and say, hey, UCLA, are you going to admit Tim? Oh, no? Okay, let's go admit him. So again, every campus you apply to, we are assuming that we are your first choice. And know that the filing period is in the month of November. So although you can start on it today, you cannot submit it until the whole month of November. It is a hard deadline of 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on November 30th. We do not care when you submit it. Submit it when it's the best representation of you. It does not matter if it's the first or the last day. I always encourage students, don't wait until Thanksgiving break to work on it because you truly want to enjoy your break and relax. And note that there is a $70 fee per campus. Yes, it is one application, but you must pay for each campus you wish to apply to. It is $70 for US residents and $80 for international applicants. And there is a fee waiver available in the application. So before you submit it, you'll know if you're eligible to receive the fee waiver, where you can use it to apply to 4 campuses for free. And we encourage you, if you haven't started the application yet, do visit the URL at the bottom of the slide to check out the application and begin learning on tips. And then we'll go on to the next slide on how you can best present yourself. So please note that Tim and I will cover the main sections of the application where we find that students can utilize and benefit the most support. And that will be our academics section where you input your coursework. That will be the activities and awards section and the personal insight question. So first we'll start with academic history. So after you input your about you, where you go to school, your home life, this is where you input all of your institutions that you've enrolled in. Please note that we're going to ask you to list every single high school or institution that you've attended, that you've enrolled in from the starting of high school and onwards, so from 9th to 12th grade. So maybe you've attended one high school, all 4 years of high school, but you attended another school in your district just for summer school. Yes, you must list that additional school. Maybe you've attended community college courses at your local community college. You must list that as well. Or if you've enrolled in an online school or maybe at your local 4-year university, we're asking you to list every single institution. And we will ask you to list the type of curriculum as well as the dates you were enrolled at this institution. So we always encourage students have the most up-to-date transcripts next to you. You do not want to guesstimate. You do not want to input what you think your grading scale is. You want to make sure it's accurate. Please note that the UC application is all self-reported. You are not attaching a transcript. You are not attaching letters of recommendation or a resume. It's all self-reported. So you want to make sure it's accurate and to your best knowledge. And then once you list all the high schools you've attended or just institutions you've attended, you will select the grading system. Please make sure this is accurate and reflects what is listed on your transcript. We know that many of you were given the pass credit option during COVID terms. Even though you selected pass credit for those terms, you must ensure that the grading system reflects what is on your transcript and what your traditional grading system is. And then lastly, you want to ensure that you're selecting the proper term type. So if it's a full year, semester, and what have you. And we'll go on to the next slide about inputting the actual coursework. So once you've listed all the institutions you've attended and enrolled in, now is when you'll input all of your A through G courses. This is how the admissions readers will determine if you meet all those requirements. And again, this is why you want to have your most updated transcript to reflect that here. So you'll go line by line. You'll start with 9th grade upwards to 12th grade and list all A through G courses. And if your high school is in California, what's great is all of the UC approved A through G courses will already be populated in this section. So you'll just go drop down. You'll start with history, social science. You'll do the drop down menu as you can see on the screen. Then you'll go into English and all A through G courses will already be available. That's when you select the grades that you received. And again, during the COVID terms, that's winter 2020 to summer 2021 is where you'll select the pass or no pass, credit, no credit, if you opted in for those grade scale. And then we'll go on to the next slide because some students may wonder, well, I for sure know this course is an A through G type course, but it's not in the drop-down menu. So what do? You can manually enter coursework. At the end of each grade level, you'll see a box that says, I don't see my courses. That's where you'll check mark. And this is where you can manually type in the course name. We'll ask you first, what subject area, category, what discipline does this course fit into? And you'll select the drop-down menu and then type in the course. And if it's an honors type course, if it's honors level, international baccalaureate, AP, and then so forth. And then now we'll segue into activities and awards. So as we mentioned earlier, you're more than just a scholar, you're a leader, and know that leadership does not need an official title. If you're an older sibling and you babysit your younger siblings, that's called leadership. That's called tutoring. Put that in the application. If you mentor your friends at work or within your club, your team, that's leadership. Put that in the application. If you can't get involved because you'll have a lot of duties and responsibilities at home, maybe you help your parents with landscaping, that's called neighborhood beautification. Put that in the application. You're helping increase the real estate value within your neighborhood. So know that at UC, we want to know, what do you do outside the classroom? Because we look at your grades, we want to know, can you balance being a full-time student while also being involved in research, while also working, interning? This is why we ask you several areas in the application. How many hours do you dedicate towards clubs and sports? So you have 20 opportunities to share with us, what do you do? What are you involved with? What have you accomplished? And there are 6 different categories. As you can see, there are 6 categories in the drop-down menu, from honors and awards to educational prep programs, or maybe you have coursework that you completed in high school that may not be considered A through G, but is relevant to what you're looking to study or what you're looking to do in your profession. You can put that in there. You can put work experience, internship, volunteer work. You have up to 20 opportunities. On the next slide, we'll demonstrate how do you input all of these experiences. And we encourage you to keep it relevant. Keep it 9th grade and onwards. Do not include that you were part of the spelling bee in 2nd grade. Yes, that's amazing, but keep this relevant. And we also discourage you to utilize acronyms. We, of course, will know popular programs like AVID, CSF, but we may not know other acronyms that may not be as popular. So do try to abbreviate them, because we understand there is a character limit. And if you're involved in the same club, sport, all 4 years, you could just list it once. That way you have 19 other opportunities to list your other accomplishments. For example, maybe you're part of soccer. You did it from 9th to 12th grade. You don't need to list it 4 times. You can just list it once here and then check mark all the years you're a part of it. And maybe you had different leadership opportunities. You were co-captain, now you're captain. In the briefly describe the program section, you can leave in the notes that you were JV captain 9th grade, semicolon, co-captain 10th grade, semicolon, team captain on varsity 12th grade. And you don't need full-on sentences. We know that there's so much to share, so you can use bullet points, semicolons, and we're not so much looking for you to describe the club or the sport. We want to know more about what you accomplished, what your role was. So in soccer, you're not going to write, the objective of soccer is to kick a ball through the opponent's net. No, we do not need to know that. We want to know, what did you do? If you're a captain, how many people did you oversee? You want to be quantitative. Did you oversee 10 team players? Did you oversee 20? How many did you mentor? If you went on to state championships or playoffs, that's great. You want to brag about how awesome you are, because again, we don't get to meet you. We don't get to interview you. We can only review you based on what you self-report. So it's imperative that you brag about what you've accomplished, what you've done throughout the activities and awards section. So you want to ask yourself 3 questions when completing this section. What was available to you? How did you take advantage of it? And what did you learn from it? And now we'll go on to the personal insight questions with Tim.
All right, thank you, Iona. So now we're moving into more emphasis on the information that was already shared with us in the application through the personal insight questions portion. This is by far my most favorite part of the application, because this is a chance for us to really get to know who you are as an applicant. This is a chance for you to tell us in your own words all of your accomplishments, how you overcame adversities, if you did, or challenges, how you served in leadership capacities, and basically just a great chance for us to really zero in on you, the person. Now, these are personal insight questions. There are 8 questions to choose from. All 8 questions have equal value. So don't think that one question is more important than the next. They all carry the same weight. What we want you to do is to identify and select the 4 questions, 4 of the 8, that best represents who you are to us. Because as Iona just mentioned, we don't get a chance to know you in a physical manner. So this is a chance for us to really get to know you on paper. So think of this as an interview on paper. Each response is limited to 350 characters. So that means in these responses, you have to get straight to the point immediately so that we can really get a glimpse into who you are. What the personal insight questions are not, they're not meant to be a personal statement or essay. So don't think that you have to present a narrative to us. We really want you to shy away from the fluff. It's not a creative writing sample. So what we don't want you to do is to start your response off with, when I woke up this morning and the sun rays beamed across my forehead through the window sill, suddenly I had an epiphany that came to life. No, we just want you to answer the questions straight on, because once again, you are limited to 350 words. And so by adding all those other elements, we're losing sight into who you are. And information that's left off the application in the personal insight questions, we don't really get to know who you are, that's considered a missed opportunity. So we don't want that to happen. We want to really get you to zero in on your accomplishments, your leadership skills, etc. So there are 8 questions, as we mentioned. Once again, here are the 8 questions. There are tips and worksheets available for you to go through. And basically, when you're answering these questions, think of the emphasis that's placed on the questions and make sure you are adhering to those directly. Okay. One of the things that I always like to encourage students and tips that I like to provide is use a lot of I statements. Do not be afraid to brag about yourself, because again, these are your accomplishments. Even if you feel that they are little accomplishments to you, it may be big to us, because again, it gives us a glimpse into your life. So do not leave anything off the application that defines who you are. And once again, select the 4 that best defines you to us. Now, there is an additional comment section also that's going to follow after the personal insight questions. This is a chance for you to also summarize other areas of the application that you really want us to know about. But what we don't want you to do with the additional comment section is do not attempt to answer a 5th PIQ question. You're only allowed to respond to 4 out of the 8. So once again, 4 responses for PIQs, and then additional comments is for other areas of the application that you want to summarize or provide more information on to us. So as I mentioned earlier, use a lot of I statements in your responses. Use your own natural voice when writing. Provide us with information in context, not in another part of the application that hasn't been identified in the other part of the application. And write in stages and give feedback. I always like to encourage students to have someone read your responses back to you. Do you like what you're hearing about yourself? Is that really you? So think about it in that manner. There is no best topic or perfect response. As I mentioned earlier, we really want to get just your own individualized voice. Avoid repetition, and also review for content, not grammar. One thing also that was mentioned earlier is that keep it relevant to who you are as a high school student. Talk about yourself. Many times we like to talk about how our grandparents influenced us when we were kids, and we go on and on about our grandparents. And guess what? 350 words have passed you by, and we know way more about your grandparent than we know about you. So once again, keep it back to who you are as an applicant. And what the PIQs are not, I kind of just summarized that already for you, but they're not meant to be used in the additional comment section, as I mentioned earlier. Don't feel like you have to use all 350 words. Just use the words and the amount of time that best gets your point across to us. Talk about one campus. So when you're responding in the personal insight questions, do not state a specific campus that you're applying to if you're applying to multiple UC campuses. Best word of advice, if you want to mention that your goal is to attend the University of California, mention the University of California and leave it at that. Do not say the University of California Merced. Do not say the University of California San Diego. Just state the University of California, because again, all the campuses that you select on the application are going to receive the same copy of your responses. Do not use acronyms, as was stated earlier. Do not have repetition. Give us new information that we cannot find in other sections of the application. Do not use quotes. Do not start your response off with a quote from Thoreau, for example. Just get straight in there. And PIQs are not meant to be treated as a creative writing sample, as I mentioned earlier, an essay, and a vocabulary quiz. It's not about how poetic you are, it's about who you are. So after you apply, we always like to encourage you to print a copy of your application for your records to refer back to, research and apply for scholarships. There's a lot of scholarships that are out there for you. Apply for financial aid by March 2nd. Both the FAFSA and the California Dream Act applications will be available as of October 1st this year. You'll have ample time to fill that out between October 1st through March 2nd. Update your application. If there are any changes to your application after you submit it, there are certain changes that you can make, certain changes that you cannot make. So let's say, for example, after you submit your application, if you do submit your application in the month of November, early in November, and you decide, hey, I want to add another campus that I didn't apply to early on, you can make that type of change. You can go in and also update us if you move within the month of November. If you change your email, let us know. But once you submit your application, there are other areas of the application that cannot be changed, such as your personal insight question responses. So definitely be aware of that and await your admission decision. Now, we typically will roll out decisions starting in the month of March, and that's when you'll hear from most of the UC campuses during that time. Now, UC Merced is affordable. 91% of our students receive financial aid, and our average gift aid awards total around $18,186. We have received numerous accolades in how generous we are as an institution for providing financial aid to our students, as you can see listed in this slide here, being number 2 in the public university system, to have the least amount of debt for our students, and also being recognized as the #1 public university in the nation for the percentage of students who receive need-based scholarships or grant aid. And these are all through the U.S. News and World Report. So do not ever let the cost of attendance that you see at the bottom of this screen here in all 3 sections ever be a deterrent factor from applying. Many times students will see the total cost at $38,000 for a California resident living on campus, and they gasp at that. No, do not let this be a deterrent factor, because number 1, that is the sticker price. There are a number of variables that occur. So we're going to talk about those variables. Your tuition and fees, for example, that's a set cost across the board, whether you're living on campus or off campus or at home. Your room and board, living on campus, now that's going to vary, and that's going to vary based on the amount of roommates you have. So the more roommates you have, the less rent you're going to be paying. Books and supplies. We don't want you to buy all your books brand new. Save your money. Buy books that are used. There are a number of loan programs that are out there. We also allow students to rent their books and supplies as well. Transportation. Save your car. As first-year student, you're not allowed to have a car on campus. So right off the bat, you're saving in gas and parking fees. Personal expenses. That's going to vary based on your lifestyle. And your health insurance. That can actually be waived if you are on your parents' health insurance forms. So again, those variables may come into play, and 38,000 may actually be 34,000. And that's not even taking into account financial aid. Financial aid has not even kicked in yet. So what we want you to do is to apply for financial aid if that is a factor for you. See what you're offered after you apply and have been admitted to the campus. You may be surprised that you will have little debt. You may not have to take out any loans, but you'll never know that unless you actually fill out the FAFSA or the California Dream Act applications. So what your main concern is what the final net cost is going to be, not the budget that you see listed there. And then we want to encourage you to follow us after this evening's presentation. There's a great amount of opportunities for you to discover UC Merced through our virtual events. We're going to have a number of additional admission presentations like this, application workshops coming up, advising sessions one-on-one with one of our representatives like myself and Iona. And you could also find us at some of the virtual college fairs like NACAC and the California College Fairs. We also would encourage you to take a tour of our campus if you have not already done so. We offer both in-person tours as well as virtual group tours. In addition to those tours, we also have recorded live guided tours available for you. So make sure you do take advantage of those. And with that, I'd now like to turn it back over to Ricky.
Hi, everyone again, and thank you so much, Tim and Iona, for great presenting tonight. This is a wonderful presentation, jam-packed full of information during this 1-hour event. So if you did miss anything, just keep in mind to all of our viewers tonight, we are recording this session and it will be available in probably about 3 to 5 days, maybe about a week. And we can go ahead and drop the website URL into the chat. That way you can take a look there for not only upcoming events like have just been mentioned by Tim and Iona, but also for replays if you do happen to miss something, or maybe you just want to go back and watch that as a replay to catch up on some of that information, some of the other links. And as you see here on the screen, if you want to go ahead and grab your smartphone and take a picture, you will have all of that great contact information at your fingertips should you need that later on. And also a plug for social media, all of those channels that you see there, we are constantly updating, giving you more information similar to this, but also promoting future events with links that you can go and register right away to save your seat. So having said that, let's go ahead and jump into the questions. Actually, a quick reminder, if you haven't asked your question yet, feel free to do that by clicking that Q&A button at the lower portion of your screen. You can go ahead and send that in to us. We are getting to those behind the scenes as well. Having said that, we do have some that have come through that we're going to go ahead and toss out to Tim and Iona. And let's see what we have here. So I'll go ahead and toss this out to Tim. If you took an AP test last year, can you still submit it to UC Merced this year?
Absolutely. So on the UC application, you are allowed to self-report those AP scores that you received. And if you are admitted to UC Merced and decide to attend our campus, at that point, we will then need the official AP score report. But we don't need the report ahead of time. We just need you to self-report it, whether it's taken this year or last year.
Great, thank you, Tim. Our next question, if a person took college courses, but not dual enrollment, will the colleges be able to see this on the high school transcript?
Yeah, so it will actually depend on the high school if they choose to list those college courses on the transcript, but know that we will request transcripts from every institution you've attended. So if you have taken classes at your local community college and your high school listed on the transcripts, even though it's listed on that high school transcript, we will still request you to provide your community college transcripts. Please note that you do not have to worry about transcripts until you've been admitted and you plan to commit. That's when we will be requesting transcripts. Also note that when we are reviewing, we may email you to ask for additional information. So it is best that you check your email often, and if we are requesting information, that you provide it within the time frame that we offer, because sometimes we cannot continue the review of your application without that requested information, and that may actually be a transcript at times.
Great. And the next question is, do UCs look at letters of recommendation? How are those weighted?
So the UCs, we do not require letters of recommendations. So don't feel the need to have to want to submit those, because we do not accept those. So all we're basing your information on is the self-reported information on your application, as was mentioned, in terms of the academic preparation that you offer, as well as your academic extracurricular activities as well. But no letters of recommendations will be required of you.
Great. And also, do you see campuses, do they accept students who have transferred from a community college?
Yes. So if you don't plan to apply as a first-year student, so one who has not graduated high school yet or is about to graduate high school or is in a gap year, you can choose to apply as a transfer applicant, meaning you've already graduated high school and you've enrolled in a regular term at a university or your local community college. So you'll be considered as a transfer applicant. We love transfers. So if you are looking that route, do come and consider the UC system. Especially if you attend a California community college, we have an agreement with every single California community college, also known as TAG, Transfer Admission Guarantee, where if you complete a certain set of requirements and have a certain GPA, you are guaranteed admission to that respective UC campus. Only 6 of the 9 campuses offer TAG, but I highly encourage it. And transfer is a great way, especially because we love transfers, and especially if you're looking to save money, you do save a lot of money in the financial aspects. And also note that we offer lower division transfer and junior level transfer. Junior level transfer is where you have to have minimum 60 UC transferable units, that's semester units, However, if you have less than 60, you can consider the lower division transfer route.
Great. And then once someone actually submits their UC admission application, how long do they have, or do they have any amount of time once they submit it that they can go back in and make changes?
Yeah, so if you submit during the month of November, and November 30th has not yet occurred, you can go in and make certain changes to your application. You're limited into what type of changes you can make in the application after you submit it. Typically, you're only allowed to update us on your change of address, your email or phone number if those are changed, or if you want to apply to an additional campus. But once you submit the application, there are certain changes that you cannot make. So we will not allow you to change your personal insight question responses. The courses that you listed cannot be changed, or the grades that you receive. One thing that we will encourage you, if after you submit your application, once you submit your application, every campus that you apply to will provide you with information on how to access your portal at that time for that respective campus. And let's say once you have gained access to your portal, if you decide to drop a class that you initially indicated that you would be taking on the application, you can then go into your portal and make that update to your My Course update, what it's called. If you're receiving a grade less than C in an A through G type course after your first semester, you need to go into your My Course update in the portal and make sure that you are making your campuses aware that you are receiving that grade. So any type of changes in that manner will occur after the application has been submitted after November 30th has passed.
Great, thank you, Tim. And does it look bad if someone selects on their application that they'd like to apply to all UC campuses?
Not at all. So again, although it's just one application, we do not care where you apply. We actually encourage you to apply broadly, especially because campuses can get quite selective. And as I mentioned earlier, when we are reviewing your application, we are assuming that we are your first choice. So I'm not going to go and look and see where else you applied. I'm not going to reach out to my colleagues at another UC campus to see if they're going to admit you. So again, we're only reviewing you within the context of what you've been offered, and we encourage you to apply broadly.
Great. And if we can shift gears for just a moment and touch on financial aid, we have some questions coming in asking the question of how generous we might be with our scholarship program.
Yeah, so one of the beautiful things about the UC application is that it is also the application for applying to scholarships. And there is a scholarship section on the UC application in which you can identify topics that relates to who you are. There may be questions related to your heritage, your career aspirations, what you want to study, the county that you live in, if you have a parent who's employed in a particular profession. There are so many areas that you can check off in the scholarship section of the application. We do encourage you to file your FAFSA and California GMAC applications, whichever apply to you. But we also want to take it a step further and encourage you to seek out private scholarships. There are a number of scholarships that are available to students that usually go untapped every year. And so not knowing what those scholarship offers are, typically you'll have a lot of money that's available, but many students don't take advantage of. So meet with your high school college counselor to learn more about what websites you should be looking at to apply for private scholarships, in addition to what's on the UC application.
Great. And what about internships? What is UC Merced's role in assisting students obtain an internship?
We have what's called the Center for Career and Professional Advancement, and they do a wonderful, amazing job with ensuring our students are prepared not just while they're at Merced, but also we're looking for their success after they graduate. As an alum, I actually still have access to the resources and services, part of our career center, essentially. So even though I've graduated years ago, I can still reach out and say, hey, I would like a mentor to help me with my resume or help me with interview skills. We bring in hundreds of companies to recruit throughout the year. We've had Twitter come to campus, a lot of tech companies all over the state. We host a huge career fair every spring, and it's awesome because sometimes those companies are actually interviewing you on the spot. I remember one year Target came out and they're like, hey, do you want to do our internship? And I was like, oh, wow, I just spoke with you for just 10 minutes. I'm already have something lined up. So I always encourage you, the university provides so many resources. It is part of your tuition and fees, so take advantage of it at any UC campus you attend.
And we have a question about majors. So if someone doesn't have a lot of background knowledge on a particular major, would you still recommend that they select that if they have an interest?
Yeah, if you have an interest in a particular major, one thing to keep in mind is that your major is not going to dictate your overall career path. So if there's something that you really have an interest in, maybe you have little experience, maybe you have medium experience, maybe you have a lot of experience, but if it's of interest to you, definitely select that major because we're going to be there to teach you. You'll be able to learn. You'll be able to gain more insight into those areas. One thing is that we do not base our selection on the major that you indicate, which means that we're not looking for special criteria for your intended major during selection. If you know you have a zest and a real big appeal for history, that's something of interest to you, by all means, choose that major if that's interest. And if you decide that, hey, you know what, once you're in that major and it's not what you thought it was going to be, you can definitely sit down with your academic advisors and look at a secondary option. Um, Also, I want to also point out on the application in the UC, when you're listing your major, you're also asked to list an alternate major as well. So think about those two areas that are of best interest to you. And once it's very common that students do change their mind once they are enrolled. I, for one, went in as a science major and then ended up in a performing arts major. So definitely, if it's of interest to you, by all means, go for it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Tim. And we are getting close to our wrap-up time. I do want to give both of our panelists here an opportunity to also give some wrap-up comments. But before that, let's toss this last question out. We've been receiving a lot of questions regarding SAT and ACT test exams and whether or not those are required. So can someone touch on that, please?
Yes. So note that at the University of California, we are not requiring exams. Know that you can self-report the exams in the application, but they will not be utilized in your admissions review. So although you can report it, I will not have access to your exams to include it in your review. If you plan to self-report those exams, they may be used for course placement. So this is once you've been admitted and plan to enroll, depending on a certain score you receive, it could actually be used to be placed into a higher level course, or it may be used to meet an A through G subject requirement. So note that UCs will not utilize your scores whatsoever in our admissions decision-making or scholarship awarding. Perfect. And this is until spring 2025.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Iona. And why don't we just go ahead and stick with you, Iona, if you have any last words or advice you'd like to offer tonight, then we'll hand it over to Tim.
Yes, I'd encourage students really create and start brainstorming what you've accomplished throughout high school. I know some activities we do can sometimes be mundane, like, oh, that's not really a big deal. I do that all the time. But no, it is a big deal, especially as a reader. We don't know you whatsoever. Treat your application as a written interview. Really think about this application. This is your resume. This is the application you're submitting, and really brag about and boast about what you've accomplished, but also highlight any challenges and struggles you've overcome and endured, because we do not get to meet you. We cannot assume anything.
And I wanted to applaud you all for being here this evening. And so one of the things I like to encourage you to do is to continue to take advantage of resources like these that we're presenting to you. We have a number of application workshops. Meet with your college counselor in your schools. They're there to also supplement your assistance through this process. So make sure you do, if you have any questions, that you do reach out to them. But also feel free to reach out to us as admissions advisors. You do have access to our contact information on our admissions website. So if you want to set up a one-on-one meeting or attend a group event, you can actually do that, whether you're a first year or a transfer student. So we want to make sure that you are aware that you are utilizing as many resources as possible. And I do also want to reiterate and really emphasize this: check your emails during this process. And make sure that you do check those routinely, because this is how we're going to communicate with you once you submit your application. So if there's anything that we need additional context for, we're going to reach out to you via email. And usually we'll give you a certain amount of time to respond to those questions, especially during the application season. So do make sure that you do check your emails during that time and enjoy this process. It's overwhelming, it's a lot of information, but at the same time, it's a chance for you to really shine. And so we really want to encourage that in you when you're filling out the application.
Thank you so much, Tim and Iona. Great job at the presentation. So many good questions coming in. So also thank you to all of our participants spending the evening with us. So quickly, I'd like to do a quick recap. So this has been our kickoff event for the Discover the University of California Merced virtual series. We have over the next couple of months over 20 different events, just like this one, or very similar in format, where you can actually get registered in advance. You can hop online with us and have full access to expert panelists just like you did this evening. We are very hopeful and we are inviting you and your family to come and join us here online so that you can learn why UC Merced is such a beautiful and such a special place and campus that we definitely hope to see you on in the future. Some of those topics that are coming up are ranging from different academics. So we have different schools here: School of Social Science, Humanities and Arts, Natural Sciences, as well as Engineering. So you'll get information sessions on all three of those academic schools. We also will be touching on the research opportunities, which you've heard a little bit about this evening. Also, we have quite a few application assistance workshops and tips and tricks similar to this one as well. So we definitely hope that you take a moment, go ahead and hop on over to that website, which should be dropped in to the chat for you, so you can take a look there after this event wraps in just a moment. And just if you want to jot it down, the website is admissions.ucmerced.edu, and just go ahead and click on the events link. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a wonderful event, and it is my great honor and pleasure to join you. Thank you so much for joining us. And on behalf of all of my great colleagues, both online and on campus, we thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.